What's up, everybody? My name's Alex. I run a couple YouTube channels as well as take care of 3 kids. My YouTube channels are Need My Fishing Fix, and my other one is Science from Somebody. The latter actually being a newer channel, and I don't really have a lot of stuff uploaded to it yet, but that doesn't diminish its value. I wanted to do something a little bit different. I actually wanted to interact with my Facebook community, and I was hoping to do that through Facebook Live. However, that's not really a possibility. My internet is just too slow. So what we're going to talk about today is going to be, what is a conspiracy theory and why do people believe them? So a conspiracy theory is a personal or modified media explanation of an event. Usually these surround powerful people, and also these generally tend to follow people with political aspirations or people in political offices. They depend on circular logic. If anybody has watched my Why Ice Floats video, you will actually see me going into descriptive context about why ice floats. If I had just said that ice floats because it's less dense than water, because ice is water that is less dense, therefore doesn't sink, the conversation would sound kind of stupid, but I would also lose all credibility. Conspiracy theories also resist anybody telling them that they are not true. That being said, some of you haven't watched any of my science videos for the exact same reason why people don't believe you when you provide them proof contrary to what the conspiracy says. Here's the interesting thing about a conspiracy. A conspiracy doesn't need proof. All it requires is faith. Now, I'm not talking about religious faith here. I'm talking about something completely different that just relates to conspiracies. A conspiracy theory thrives on either the complete trust or lack thereof of someone or something else. Let me explain. Conspiracies are not dumb. They are actually very elaborate. They actually focus on small or invisible groups to blame for attacks or perceived threats. This allows them to reach a wider audience. But why do people believe conspiracies? Well, there's a social aspect to it, and there's a very scientific aspect to it as well. So let's touch on the social real quick. So somebody believes a conspiracy theory actually sees themselves as the holders of privileged knowledge that others just won't or don't want to see. On Facebook, if you're scrolling through your posts and all of a sudden you see somebody has posted something that says, "My consciousness has awoken," or "I am awake," that's actually a form of paranoia, psychopathy, or even narcissism. This isn't a bad thing. This is just what happens to the brain when it's given too little information and you run with it. Now it's time for the scientific reason, my favorite part of this conversation. Apophenia is actually the act of the brain filling in the blanks when too little information is given. This isn't a bad thing or something negative with our brains. This actually happens thousands of times a day. The brain actually doesn't like visuals that it sees that don't make sense. So it corrects its thinking to make it make sense to you. When you see something in a cloud, that's actually apophenia making it make sense to your brain. Your eyes are seeing something that just resembles something that you know, like seeing an apple in the sky. You see an apple in the clouds because your brain corrects that swirl of clouds into an apple for you to understand. Have you ever looked at a pile of clothes on a chair at night in the darkness? You will see something completely different than what it actually is, especially if you aren't the one that put the clothes there in the first place. I swear I saw a monster on my bed because my mom had piled all of my clothes onto my bed when I was younger, and I hadn't even flicked on the light yet. I ran right out of my room. I ran right out to the front door, and I was about to go away, and I thought, maybe something's off. And I went back, turned on my light. Sure enough, just a pile of clothes and my pillows. So your brain just tries to make sense of things it doesn't understand. Did you know that in 65 AD, there was a fire that actually burned most of Rome to the ground? The emperor of Rome, Nero, was actually out of town, and while he was out of town, the whole of Rome was subjected to a fire that nobody actually knew why it started. But it ended up burning a third of the town to the ground and damaged to near destruction half of it. So because Emperor Nero was out of town, the citizens actually thought that he had started the fire. They thought that he wanted to build Rome how he wanted it to look. So he started the fire to initiate that building of a new Rome. However, when Nero got back to town, he was told by one of his advisors that he saw and witnessed Christians interacting with the firemen, trying to stop them from putting out the fire. Now, this may or may not be true. You got to understand that at this time, Christians were expecting the last revelations to happen at any day. So they could have thought that that's what was going on at that time. But the downside is Nero ran with that information, and it started the first persecution of Christians in Rome. Now this is just a look at how conspiracies get started. And this also shows how dangerous conspiracies and misinformation can be. Now, as you notice, I'm not talking about current events. I'm leaving that completely out because some of you believe without any proof. So let me ask you this. Did someone die to get you personally the information, or maybe even just the internet, the information? Or maybe somebody died to prevent information from getting out? Does the media refuse to give this information because they are afraid, or somehow they're involved? As to the latter question, did you know that during the Zodiac killings, the media was actually informed by the Zodiac killer not to pass along information, but they did it anyways? Do you really think that the media is afraid? That's their job. Now, I'm not saying that all media provides real information all the time, but a lot of that unreal information is actually just misinformation. You've got to understand that the media is in direct competition with other media sources, and therefore they sell sensationalism before all of the facts are given. So just like I said, a conspiracy is dangerous, just like misinformation is dangerous. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, and you enjoy a little bit of science in your life, come check out my channel, Science from Somebody. I look at all the natural aspects of the world, and I present them to you in as simple as possible so that you can easily understand what I'm giving you information about. Or if you like fishing, and you like catfish, or maybe even carp, come check out my other channel, Need My Fishing Fix. Thanks, guys. You guys have a fantastic day. Don't forget to share this with somebody who believes a conspiracy theory.